Social, emotional learning, it's the new wave, where culturally responsive meets innovation.
Hey, Resilient ones. My name is Kristen Hopkins, founder of the Dangers of the Mind Education Fund and creator of Black SEL. I'm a social and emotional expert, curriculum developer, and social entrepreneur who believes in the holistic development of Black youth and adults through culturally responsive and affirming resources. Welcome to the Black SEL podcast, formerly known as Dangers of the Mind. Welcome to Black SEL, Blackity Black, Blackity Black, the social and emotional hub for Black people. Here at Black SEL, we open up a safe space for Black people to share their experiences and expertise, be vulnerable, all while highlighting key social and emotional skills. Our goal is to make SEL relatable, tangible, sustainable in our Black communities. So listen, today's guest here on our Blackity Black podcast, all right, is no other than the Sharonda Arnold Ocean. So listen, I cannot wait to get into this, but I need to read some facts on this woman right now so you know who's sitting with me, because this is major, all right, y'all? Sharonda was born in Würzburg, Germany, okay? Spent about 10 years of her life in Pordenone, and I know I'm probably gonna say this wrong. Pordenone, see, here we go. Pordenone, Italy. Went to high school in Little Rock, Arkansas, but graduated in Fayetteville, North Carolina. So period, this woman has been all around the world, okay? And right before high school, not before college, right? She's been all around the world, all right? She currently resides in the Bull City, Durham, North Carolina, and Louisville, Kentucky. So she in multiple spaces, okay? With her husband and 3 boys. Their oldest is in college, and so he has, arrived in college, and we appreciate the Black brothers going to college, all right? Their mental health, she has a mental health and coaching practice, Ocean Behavioral Health, and is based in Louisville, Kentucky, where she provides therapy and coaching to people aspiring to be their best self. We love us a good mental health. Y'all know that, good mental health advocate, all right? She's a boy mom, and her family is the most important component of her life. She believes charity starts at home. We're going to get into this today. So all this energy, this love, and this excitement you see on her platforms, know that she gives it to her family first, which is the most important thing. She has always been a dream of hers. It always has been a dream of hers to inspire and encourage the people in her life and community. Her passion for public speaking and empowering people, whether it's via social media or in person, has evolved so much so that it has expanded over 2 brands, the Sharonda Arnold Ocean brand and the You Better Love Your Damn Self brand. Okay. Her hope is that these 2 brands will help us women see ourselves properly every day and in every way. So listen, y'all know how Tabitha Brown be saying, because it's my business, okay? Sharonda Arnold says, let me drop this Friday nugget on you real quick, okay? So we welcome Sharonda. Welcome to Black SEL.
Blackity black, blackity black.
Hey! She got it on. Listen, welcome to the podcast. I'm so happy that you are here.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be here.
Yes, no, let me tell y'all something. I met Sharonda in a hair salon. This is a real black moment for y'all. Yeah. And the hair salon. You go to the hair salon. Shout out to Miko. Yeah. Doing all the good short hairstyles, right? So when you go to the hair salon and you connect with somebody, we connected in the spirit. Yeah, we connected in the physical. We connected in the mental. We had it's not just one time. We've had so many times in the hair salon that has just been moments of rejuvenation,
most certainly,
and just a new ignition in our spirits, just a fire, a passion, and I just love you, in the natural and in the spirit. I feel like I had knew you when I first met you, and it's so important to have women that even if you don't talk to them every day, right, when you see me and when I see you, it's like we know what it is, right? It's like that energy, right? And so I'm just so happy for you to be here, because a lot of people know you as Sharonda Arnold Ocean, the brand, right? And so tell us a little bit about that brand first. What do you do on your Fridays?
I
was about to say it for you.
Sharonda Arnold Ocean the brand, it is purpose to help us as women see ourselves properly, whole, perfect, and complete. And so in this brand, what I do every Friday is I drop a Friday nugget. And that nugget is just a dose of inspiration, a reminder to let you know, sis, you are it. She is you, and you are her.
And you are her.
And so that's what that's about. And you gotta love your damn self. It's more so of, if I can say, it's my alter ego.
Yes. Come on, Beyonce, with the alter ego.
It's letters to myself, my younger self, my older self, and my future self, right? And so on You Better Love Your Damn Self, you're gonna see poetry, you're gonna see real life situations acted out in just you're just going to see real life situations that we go through on a day-to-day basis, in the past, that you may go through in the future. And so
it's like scenarios. Everyday scenarios. You always can resonate with it, though. You know, you always are that sis that you're talking about.
And that's what I tell people. Anything that I post, I'm talking to myself first. Like, and I think that's why it comes across as so authentic, because it's heartfelt, because it's really coming from me, whether I'm in this situation right now, whether I've experienced it in the past, or whether someone has shared their story with me, and I'm able to birth some inspiration out of that.
I love that, you know, and I feel like people need you, and I appreciate you from the social emotional aspect in the industry, that because this is all we do all day, is like pull out these like pieces of people and say, this is what you need to do, but it has to be intentional. And so with the Black community, majority of your audience are Black women, I believe, that follow you, right? And you are preaching to the Black women. So I appreciate you on behalf of Black SEL, because you are already doing SEL. You are instilling confidence in these women. You are instilling management, like discipline, like organizational skills. This is all self-management, self-awareness, responsible decision making.
Girl, tell me what I'm doing.
I'm telling you, and you do it every day. Every Friday, okay? We could look forward to that. And then for you personally to be so consistent. You know, when you start something, you like, people follow people for consistency, because if they like you, they're like, oh, we know she's gonna drop that Friday nugget. And you on the back end, you gotta be disciplined to drop that Friday nugget every Friday. Even when you don't feel like it. Even when you woke up in the Friday, ate the Friday you thought it would be. You still are dropping that for a sister that's waiting for that nugget. You know what I'm saying? And that is discipline within you. That is time management. You saying, I'm allotting a piece of my time to pour into someone that I don't even know. And so you're already practicing social and emotional learning with intention, but you don't even know that it's the skills that you're practicing. And these right here are ways that it makes us better every day, but also self-management skills are really like the biggest skill that makes you successful. I always say, when you see somebody has mastered or is successful, they have mastered self-management. They've mastered the time management. They've mastered the self-discipline. They've mastered the self-motivation, right? And so it's so good to see that, because I want to acknowledge you and praise you for that, because a lot of times we don't acknowledge those things that may seem like we just got to do it. You know, you don't got to do that. You don't got to do them Friday nuggets. Nobody is holding a gun in your head telling you to give you a Friday nugget.
You know what? And I always say, nothing can conquer a person that won't quit. You know?
That's good.
It is the consistency.
It's the consistency.
It is the consistency that causes you to be able to crush your goals, to conquer your goals, for you to even believe in yourself, right? Because we lose trust with ourselves when we start, stop. But it's in the consistency and you doing the thing that you say that you're going to do. It's in that consistency that we build trust within ourselves, and that we build confidence, and that confidence helps us to trust ourselves. I mean, just like anybody, right? Like, you build trust in relationships when people do what they say they're going to do.
That old saying, my word is my bond. You know, it was like, you doing that today? Okay, cool. I trust you now. I can depend on you now. And we talked about this on our earlier episode about, because a lot of people don't realize, and I believe in social and emotional character development, which is SECD. You can't do social emotional learning without a character. What is your character? What are your core values? And so a lot of times when we ask people what our core values, they be like, dang, I don't know. I never thought about that, right? But when you really think about it, you gotta act. I always say this when I go speak, I say, what's your core value? Write 3 down. And then I ask them, I say, if you ask your best friend right now, what was my core values? Would it match with what you said? And so it's so important that you say what you do and you do what you say, because that's how that trust is built, and that's how those real relationships are formed, right? And so I want to get into this topic today because we could talk all day. You know that we've been in hair salon for hours. Okay, so I want to talk about Black SEL and Black mental health. When I first started developing my curriculum in 2016, I brought it into an alternative school in Washington, D.C. And I had kids that were shot 5 times at the age of 14, kids that were addicted to K2, which is a synthetic weed drug. I had kids that were dropping their babies off that were 13. So they were dropping their babies off before my class because they had a daycare. They had a daycare in my school, the school. And I was teaching a curriculum, a social emotional curriculum. At the time, it wasn't as popular, right? But I was innovative and I was a visionary, and I said, I believe this is going to work. And I anointed my curriculum. I ain't going to anointed before you, because I knew that there was so much trauma in these little kids. But the one thing that I was doing, and I didn't even know, somebody came up to me and said, oh my God, Kristen, this is cognitive behavior therapy. CBT. But it was just in a very innovative way. So kids were making rap songs about their brokenness. They was getting up and doing skits about fear. And I just developed a curriculum that I wanted for myself growing up. So I created a safe space for these Black kids to be able to come and share their emotions, identify their emotions, and see that we all have common emotions, that we all go through these struggles, right? So I want to talk to you first about, how do you keep yourself sane? Because as a therapist and as someone that's in the field, what are your daily practices?
Oh, wow. You know what? I think there's power in my routine in the morning, right? So one of my ways of being, and a lot of people, it's considered to be selfish, right? Like a lot of people say putting yourself first is selfish, but no, I put myself first. That is my practice every morning when I wake up. I put myself first. I am the most important person to myself. Because I give my babies and I give my husbands, I said, hands, ooh, Lord, I only got one.
He may do double things. He may do all the things.
But I give my husband and I give my babies some good love, right? But the only reason and the only way I'm able to do that is because I pour into myself first. So essentially, I'm more important. I'm the most important person to myself. I'm even more important to myself than my children. Because if I pour into me, I'm going to be able to take care of them.
It's going to overflow.
But if I neglect myself and I pour into them, and I pour into my husband, and I constantly neglecting myself, I'm not going to be any good for myself. And eventually, what I'm pouring into them will stop.
Ooh, yes.
Right? So I have a routine in the morning where I pray, I do affirmations, I speak into myself, and I get up and I get ready. Because when you look good, you feel good. After you done prayed, you done poured into yourself, affirm yourself, you need to take care of this temple and dress it up and look in a way that that serves you. And so that's what I do for myself in the morning. It starts at the top of my morning. How I start my day is key for me.
I love that. And now, when it comes to the mental health community, I want to really go into some deep questions, because I feel like there's so much social emotional learning and mental health that are combined. But a lot of people sometimes confuse the two. Like they're one, and they're not. But they help each other. And so, with our audience here, we have, or our listeners, we have educators, we have parents, we have children that are teens, young adults. And I want you to tell them some self-care tips that they can use when they're at their lowest with their mental health, when they feel like they are really struggling.
Whenever I think of someone that's struggling, my first thought is, okay, we need to get you help, right? And as a clinician, most people might say, oh, okay, so you're telling them to get a therapist. Well, I understand that therapy is not always accessible at the moment of crisis, right? But many times what is accessible is someone that you trust, someone that you feel safe with, right? And so there's healing in conversation.
Come on.
Right? And so I encourage, one self-care tip is to have someone that you feel safe with, that you can have those conversations with, and actually have the conversation, because there's healing in conversations. And when people are struggling, what they want to know is that they're not alone.
Come on.
Right? Yeah. And so when you have this conversation with somebody you trust, they're able to normalize. So while they may not be in the same experience as you, what they can relate to is the emotion that you're experiencing, that you're feeling. Right?
Listen, I just got to pause you because you said something so powerful. You said there is healing in conversation.
It is.
And in our Black community, we got to acknowledge this. And I have something in Black SEL we call real relationships. Not relationships, but real relationships.
Yeah.
What does that look like in our community? Because you got this, every year you like, I'm cutting so-and-so off, and I'm going into New Year lighter and brighter and all that type of things. But it's like, let's backtrack. Why are you really cutting this person off?
Yeah.
Are you cutting them off because you're running, because you don't know how to negotiate conflict constructively?
Yeah.
Are you cutting this person off because you got an issue deep in and you trying to neglect it or like bypass it, not talk about it? Or are you cutting them off because they've truly done you wrong? Or are they too heavy for you in this season? Right? Whatever the issue is, I think sometimes we don't look inside ourselves. We're just ready to cut people off in the Black community. And when you said there's healing in conversation, the Black community has to communicate more with each other, because this is a huge SEL skill of relationships. Yeah. It's a skill.
Every broken relationship happens from a missed conversation.
Ooh.
Every single broken relationship.
Jamie, you got that? We need to write that down. Write it down. We're going to quote her later on. Y'all about to see these quotes come out, because that's powerful.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, when we really talk about, I didn't even think we were even going to go here with relationships for the mental health, but it makes so much sense because a lot of us are broken because we have not healed in our relationships, or we run. And let me tell you, when I started going to therapy, the first thing my therapist said is, you don't know how to handle conflict. And I used to be like, oh, that person should have known better. I don't have time for that. Like, I'm too busy to handle. Like, I'm not about to sit here and like, you should have known. You know what I'm saying? When you be feeling like, if you ain't on my mental wave, I don't got time. In my business too, I be like, I don't got time for that. Like, that ain't business savvy. Like, you not on my level. Right. However, she was like, you run from conflict because of abandonment. She took me back to my childhood. And I was like, it snatched my invisible pearls. Okay, I was like, my edges and all that. What do you mean? What do you mean? But then I realized that, wow, I struggle with negotiating. Because I would rather just say, oh, it's okay. Instead of saying, hey. And so what I learned, and I saw this was 2 years ago when she told me this, I saw how deeper my relationships got, and how much stronger they got, and how much trust I built. My wall went down because I was negotiating the conflict and also expressing my boundaries. A lot of time we're in mental health issues, or we get deep depression, because we don't express our boundaries to people, and then people walk all over us, but we think they walking all over us, but we never told them what our boundaries were. You know? And so I think that this is good. So do you have, that boundary piece.
Boundary is simply what is okay.
Right.
And what is not okay.
What's okay and what's not okay. Yeah. And I make a joke that I say when I meet people, like, hey, my name is Kristen Hopkins. What are your boundaries? You know? If I really want to be your friend, I'm like, what's your boundaries? What are your boundaries? Because I really want to know. Because, you have people that have been through trauma and situations that trigger them quickly. When you may make a joke, or you may not be on time for something. I love my best friend. Shout out to Damaris, because I'm going to put on blast. But Damaris has a time issue sometimes. You know what I'm saying? And we had a whole real conversation about this. And I said, and this is my bestest friend in the whole wide world. But I said, you really don't be like caring about time. And it's the Ghanaian in her though. She's she got a little Ghanaian. She'll show up. And Josh got to say, he'll be like, I'm here. How y'all doing? It's a great day. He comes with all the energy, right? But I'm like, babe, you got to know the time, because some people don't care about time and they like you can show when you show up. Other people be like, it's a respect factor.
Yeah.
Like if I say I'm gonna be here, and then I'm here, and then you over here just laxy daisy, or you not showing up. I'm like, wait a minute, I said I had to be gone by, you know, I'm gonna be gone.
Right.
And so it was a conversation that had to be had to realize that was a boundary for me, and we worked through it. And she was like, I never even thought about that. So it's those little things that can get us into these places that we start going into our own heads, right, and creating our own, like assuming stuff in our relationships. And so I want to go into like your experience with like common triggers in the Black community leading to a decline in mental health. Now we done seen COVID, and this was a dark space for us, you know, for the Black community, because we had. Like, come on, we had injustice, police brutality. We had double pandemics out here, right?
Yes,
we struggling with, this is the first time in history we got to wear masks, you know, feel like we in China, because I lived in China, you know, for years, and masks are common, right? But going into that, we couldn't smile. We couldn't see nobody smiling at us. We just could figure it out with your eyes. It was a different feel. And so I saw a lot of kids that were taken out of schools and then go back to schools being all socially awkward and all that. But what do you feel are some triggers in our Black community leading to the decline in mental health?
There are several, but I'll point out a few. You just mentioned some, like with the racial trauma that we've experienced. One, poverty. People with less money struggle in a lot of ways, and their mental health is affected due to the strains of the financial poverty they are experiencing, right? And as a result, it affects their mental health. Okay, so when we're thinking of in the context of the Black family, right? So if a man is not able to provide, he feels emasculated. Right? And him feeling emasculated is going to affect the way that he engages with his family. And as a result of his engagement, there's going to be trauma. The way that he engages with his partner, the way he engages with his children is going to affect the dynamic of the entire Black family. So definitely poverty. Poverty is one, right? Because that affects the entire Black family.
You know, I read something recently. Well, not recently. It was probably a year and a half ago, because I was really trying to understand. Started my research in alternative education and juvenile justice. So a lot of people didn't want to be in that space at the time, and I like dominated. I went into that space, and I was like, I have to find a solution for this transient population. Kids that are in and out, kids that are coming to high as I don't know what, eating Cheetos at 9 a.m. in the morning, just on survival mode, right? And I read an article, and I'm gonna share it with you. It's called "Poverty Taxes the Brain." You probably heard about this, but I didn't, and I had no idea that poverty literally like weighs our brain down to not. If you see people that are homeless, you wonder why they like going in a cycle that they can't get out of. It's because they're in such a survival mode where they're like, it's like they don't know how to get out of that space. That's right. And I always used to be like, I ain't giving this person no money because they should know better. But then when I read the article, I was like, Jesus.
The trauma associated to them being in survival mode.
So that's a huge one. Because I mean, we had from COVID, people were laid off, essential workers.
Listen, and absolutely, they were laid off, and then the individuals that were dying looked like you and me.
No health care.
So that's traumatic within itself, right? And so as we talk about another component is stigma attached to receiving treatment. While we've come a long way, we have come a long way, honey. Gen Z and millennials will get will pray and get treatment, right?
Listen, because we grew up that way.
Listen,
pray about
our parents. Listen, our parents, when they went to their parents and they told them they were struggling, what did the parents say?
Pray about
it. You'll be all right.
You'll be all right.
So as a result, they had to hold on to their trauma. So this is how generational trauma has been passed on to us. And so what I'm seeing now is millennials and Gen Z, we're actively and willing willingly breaking that cycle.
Yeah.
Because we want to heal.
Yeah.
We understand that what our parents gave us, while they did the best that they could, that it was dysfunctional.
Yeah.
Right? And so when something is consistent, that's when it's normalized.
Come on.
And so for generations, dysfunction has been normalized. And so you get to us and we're like, this is not right. Something is not right. And even when you don't understand it, I think that's when you go into therapy and you're able to pull back those layers and you see, wait, this way of thinking is really dysfunctional. Like I have to really go back to where this original thoughts
deeply rooted
came from and unlearn this behavior, this way of being. Right?
And that takes so much time. It takes work. And a lot of Black people don't want to do that work because it hurts. You know, like that's just like a relationship when you find love. You like, wait a minute, I'm feeling some things. You learning some things about me. I don't like it. I feel vulnerable. Right? And two, you then realize that it's good for you. And the person is good for you. That's the same way. You know, Josh did a commencement speech. He did a commencement speech for one of our alternative schools. And our principal brought him in last summer.
Oh my goodness.
And his topic was out of chaos brings order.
All right, Josh.
When I tell you,
all right,
I was like, come on, sermon. Right? But it made me realize that like in our community, sometimes it could be so chaotic, which forces us to find some type of order. But it's only those that truly want the order that's going to go get the order. A lot of people just stay in the chaos. You know, and that's mental health. It's like Jay-Z said something, if I remain the same, I will go insane. If I remain the same, I will go insane. Like, and it was one of the lines that stuck with me forever. I think he said that in the 90s. And it was like, yo, I'm never gonna be the same because I'm gonna go crazy. Evolving. I gotta evolve. I cannot stay the same. And so this is so good.
And that's how individuals feel like they're adding value and they feel fulfilled when they're growing. When they're growing. That is how
it's like it produces what the dopamine. What is it that like not the dopamine? Endorphins. Like it's like you feel good. Like that's even one of the things I really love is intrinsic and extrinsic. I believe in intrinsic motivation, right? And I always ask people, what are you doing this for? Are you doing this for internal satisfaction, or are you doing this for the extrinsic reward? The incentive. And when you find that intrinsic motivation, baby, nobody can shake you. Because every day because the money's gonna come. The money's always gonna be there, right? We're gonna always get to the bag. But if you feel it, if you feel your calling, if you're eternally satisfied, that's like somebody paying you to wash the dishes. Ain't nobody paying me to wash my dishes. But when I wash them, I feel good about myself. Ain't nobody paying me to clean this house, but when I clean it, I feel good
about myself.
You know, it creates an atmosphere. So that's the thing.
And that so self-care is caring for self, right? And so while my self-care is going to look different from yours, right? So what is self-care to me is maybe very different from you. So one way that people can find what works for them is ask them that question. What does it for them? What brings you balance? What calms you, right? And when they are able to answer these questions, that's when they can create a self-care plan to care for their self. You know?
And you just said something like, what calms you? Now, like in self-management, we talk about impulse control and stress management, right? And a lot of times we be in these stressful situations and we don't know what actually brings us out of stress. And so even with mental health, it's like, you know, we talk about, the wellness plan, right? We talk about, for me, stress management is I gotta walk around, I gotta listen to listen, y'all, Sharonda put me on prayer walks. So and this is something real. I had, you know, I found out at 34, I'm 35, 34 that I had ADHD. Now, my doctor was like, I get so frustrated. But I was always, growing up, we don't pray about it. You know, it wasn't a problem. So what I did growing up was I learned differently and I taught myself at home. I would go home and teach myself stuff. And so when I look back on everything I built, and like how God has allowed me to learn differently.
Yes.
I have been so blessed
Wow.
because there's so many kids that get sent to alternative schools because they're labeled bad, but they actually just have ADHD and they're not being taught correctly. Right? And so I'm very right-brained. I like to, very audio, very kinesthetic modality. I like to move and learn. And we have to love on ourselves so much that we love the way we learn. Even if it don't look like the way you learn.
Listen.
And in the Black community, we have to talk about these things because ADHD can also bring mental health issues.
Yes, it can.
And for me,
it affects your confidence because you're not undiagnosed and untreated. Affects your confidence because many times you're not able to complete anything. You're not able to follow through. You're not able to keep your word.
You're distracted.
And so you're easily distracted. So that affects a person's confidence, self-esteem, self-worth.
Absolutely.
And if you're in struggle with that, it's just going to exacerbate into other challenges.
And for me, it was like the huge self-awareness piece of, I believe in identifying our strengths and our limitations, right? We have to do that on a daily basis.
Right.
And for me, I knew all my strengths. And sometimes you were like, this is my weakness. But then with ADHD, you had to realize this is actually a weakness. Organizational skills is a weakness of mine. So I could be a great executor, a great visionary, a great public speaker, all these things. But then when I come to the details, I don't really want the details. So then guess what? I hired Jamie. I hired people that actually can help me with a skill and not feel like I can do it all.
Right.
Because it allows us to be okay with the weakness and be able to perfect that weakness of ours. And so what can you say for our community? Because I think there's so many Black people that struggle with ADHD or ADD, don't even get diagnosed, but always going through the motions. And I had to rely, like when I was younger, I was relying on weed. I was relying on all these different things to cope, not even knowing that I was coping from something I didn't even know I had. Right. Because I was so stressed. Right. Right. And so imagine our Black community that's like going to that every day. Like this source of or an outlet. That's only momentarily. It's not something that's going to be sustained. So then they got to keep doing it. I got all these kids in the schools that I work with. They just be smoking just to run from it. And it ain't even good weed at that. You know what I'm saying? It's like, just like something that's going to really, really mess them up. Right. I've seen like
they're
kids
lacing it now with so many things, and oh man, it's traumatic in itself. You know? And it's really hard, but it's important for parents to observe and recognize that their child is having some challenges and being courageous enough to get that child support and not put themselves in it. Like a lot of some parents won't get their child support because they're like, they feel, I failed as a parent, or if my child has a mental illness, then what does that say about me and my parenting? No, baby, move yourself out of the way and get your child the support that they need, because really your child may not be bad as hell. They just learn differently, and so that because they learn differently, they're not able to stay focused in class because the teacher is not teaching them in a way that serves them. And so
many of our Black children.
It starts with the Black family.
And the Black parent, and it's so like surreal because in 2019. I knew that there was a problem with SEL being such a trend. And I was like, we can't afford this in our Black community. We can't afford this to be a trend. We actually need these skills. These are already skills that are in us. We are resilient people. We have overcome obstacles quickly, but with SEL skills. We're not just resilient, but we're resilient. And I tell people that all the time because we came out the womb with the world against us. You know what I'm saying? And so I want to talk about how do we normalize healthy self-talk in our community? And you do this on the daily. So
you know what? It starts with understanding your attitude about yourself. Like you said, when we were born, right? We come into this world with so much against us. And that can have a profound influence on your attitude towards yourself. right? So looking at our attitude towards ourselves and checking that and making sure that it's an attitude that serves us and doesn't hurt us, right? So that we can move forward with really a routine of affirming ourselves and seeing ourselves properly, not seeing ourselves from the lens of what us as a people have experienced, right? And what people have done to us, but really seeing ourselves and our resilience from having overcome what has happened to us, right? And so normalize putting that into your routine and allowing that to be a part of you, because anything that you do repeatedly, you're going to normalize.
Yep, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And you're going to believe. So if I look in the mirror and I say, oh my goodness, you are beautiful, you are whole, you are perfect, you are complete. If I wake up every morning and I say this to myself, I am going to normalize this way of being, this way of talking to myself. And I'm going to be operating in this, not just on my communication, in my actions, in the way that I do things, in the way that I speak, in the way that I treat people, right? And so it starts there. And I think that as we are bringing up this next generation and we speak into them, we're normalizing speaking into them. So what they hear is what they're going to believe, right? And so if what they hear is what they're going to believe, their self-talk will be the same, right?
So you just hit on something, because it's a couple reasons why I started Black SEL. Right? Not just because I didn't see myself in the situations. I was at lots of tables and did not see the representation of Black women or Black people that owned their materials and then providing their materials to urban districts, right? The other reason was because there was not a lot of culturally affirming curriculums on the marketplace. And when I say culturally affirming, that means that if a child opens up my curriculum, they're going to see a name that reflects a Black child or a name that reflects a brown child. And even though people may think that's small, to Black kids, they see themselves in the literature. They see themselves in the text. And a lot of times we do not, in the Black community, we don't know how valuable that is. And so when you say, like, speak to yourself, like it takes a village, right? It's not just us speaking to ourselves, but those around us affirming us of our gifts that we might not even see. We might not even feel. You know, it's a natural gift. And so that's so good for our mental health. It's so good for us for it to be sustained and repeatedly have a tribe that is pouring into you. Because that was our saying growing up. It takes a village. It takes a village. And I said in one of my speeches, I said, but where's the village now? You know, I feel like we've gone away from some of our old thinking that we looked at as old thinking, but it still works. You know, they said the blood still works. It still works. It still works. You know, like it's still some of these things we got to go back to is going back to what that village looks like. And it could be a look a little different in the 21st century, right? It could look a little different for millennials. It could be meetups at the jazz club. This is my village. It could be book clubs. That's my village. Whatever it looks like for you, you have to have these people repeatedly affirming you. And then you doing it to yourself.
Listen, repeatedly affirming, you doing it to yourself, and it turns into a belief.
And I think normalizing it is bringing the tribe of people around, especially because COVID, you know, I'm making my business to get out more. And because, you know, COVID had us all like, it's okay to be inside. And I'm not gonna lie, you know, I know that God does all things for a reason. And I get sad every time I hear about, because I've incurred some deaths in my family due to COVID too, and it was horrible and it was hard. But I also thank God for the time to slow down. Cause I you know, little things. I became a plant mom during COVID. You know, listen, I speak to my plants in the morning. I say, you will live and not die. Okay. I had a couple that passed away. You know, because my travels. But it's real to me. I believe in that thing. And it's like, it's so important that we are able to be a community.
Yeah.
You know, each other. And people always say, like, why you love Durham?
Yeah.
I love Durham because
I love Durham.
The community. I could go outside and see a Mr. Brown sweeping the sidewalk and, hey, Mr. Brown.
Yes.
That I live for that.
Yes.
You know, that community of people.
Yeah.
So I want to know about the Black people. How do we protect? This is so good because when we think about Black people in corporate America, we already got, I just had someone on that is a natural hair enthusiast. Like, I mean, like I'm talking about chemistry, whip it up, hair product and everything. And she was talking about how, you know, women feel with the hair, natural hair going in corporate. But how do we protect Black people in corporate America with their mental health? Like, what does that look like in corporate America? And, you know, they're experiencing all these like microaggressions and systemic racism. And how do we help them protect their own mental health in these environments?
You know, I think what's important is to understand that systematic racism and microaggressions are real.
Absolutely.
Right? And understanding that they are real, it's important that we as Black women, as Black people, don't allow anybody to invalidate our feelings when we feel like this is happening in our world. Because a lot of the times I've worked with people that are Black women that are in corporate America and they are experiencing these microaggressions. And these individuals have tried to invalidate what they're feeling, like invalidate their experiences. So for one, you know what a microaggression is. Please do not allow anybody to invalidate how you're feeling. And then it's also important to get support, right? And not allow these microaggressions to inflict upon how you feel about yourself.
Come on.
Right? Like, and so...
Because you'll take that home with you.
Listen. You'll take that home with you. And now, you know, organizations now, they have different supports available within organizations. Like, you know, they have...
Tap into them.
You have to tap into those organizations. And when you are experiencing microaggressions, you don't have to be silent about it. Come on. Okay? You don't have to be silent about it. You can call this out in a very professional way, right? And it's important that, and I always speak as Black women, but just Black people in general, but I'm speaking from the context of a Black woman, that you can call this out in a professional way and to ensure that this individual or this organization knows that this is not appropriate, because silence is what makes it permissible.
Say that again.
Silence is what makes it permissible.
Wow.
So silence is what makes it permissible. And we want to know that we want to let these individuals and organizations know that this is not permissible. Right? And so many times when you're in situations like this, silence is what causes trauma. Right? Whatever you don't give voice to creates trauma.
Whatever you don't give voice to
turns
creates
into
trauma. Wow.
Wow. And so when you're in these situations where you're in corporate America and you're experiencing systematic racism and microaggressions, use your voice because your voice matters. And you will not be silent because silence means that it is permissible.
That's so good. You know, one thing that I just want to share is one of the things we do. We call at DOM in my educational consulting firm. We go into schools and train teachers, and we talk about the invisible backpack that you carry. Everybody walks in places with an invisible backpack, and in this backpack, you got all of these emotions, whether it's fear and insecurities or hope and love. You got everything. And if we don't identify these emotions that's in this backpack, it's going to weigh us down. You know, and so now I'm even thinking about we don't speak to.
Because you got to give voice to it.
You got to give voice to it.
You got to give voice to your pain. Baby.
That's good. Because I'm over here talking about acknowledging. but it's a speak to. It's a voice.
Yes.
You just, this is good. So tell us, this has been such a good episode. I don't even want to stop. You know, I could talk to Sharonda all day, every day.
I can talk to
all
you
day,
all day, every day.
every day. So tell us just something for the people, you know, some encouraging words, you know, that you would want to leave with them, and then also how they can find you.
Okay. What I want to leave you with is you matter. You are enough. Everything that you need is inside you. It's just waiting on you to pull it out. You can find me.
Yes. Yes.
You can find me at Sharonda Arnold Ocean, on Instagram at Sharonda Arnold Ocean, and at You Better Love Your Damn Self. So those are my 2 handles. If you are waiting, if you want some inspiration, if you want encouragement on how to see yourself properly, baby,
come on. You better come get that Friday nugget, okay, that she drop on you every Friday. I be tuned in. All right. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, here at Black and SEL.
Blackity black, blackity black.
And we're out.